Guys, you just don't see this every day. This is an awesome opportunity to see something really cool. Pound that like button, man. This is way cool. Hey there, folks. This is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome back to the farm. We got a big project to do today with the Caterpillar 953. So today we're going to be replacing one of the tracks. He's already replaced one side of the tracks, and today we're going to show you guys what goes into replacing the tracks on a Caterpillar loader. It's going to be a good time. All right? Woo! Alright guys, welcome to the Stoney Ridge Farm channel. Today is going to be another adventure just like every day. So my loader operator Frank has presented us with an awesome opportunity, and what he's doing right now is pulling the plate off of here. So there is a cylinder inside the track system here, and you pump grease into it, and that's how you tighten up the tracks. You see how the tracks have a little bit of a sag in them? So you pump grease into that fitting, and that tightens up the tracks. Now we've got to disconnect that completely so the grease comes out basically and retracts so we can put the new track on. And we're going to lay out the new track right here. He's going to drive off the old track and right onto the new one. So we'll get you some footage. All right guys, so Frank just pulled, there's the grease. Frank just pulled this cover off. This cover has two bolts and goes over this little area right here. And that's where the grease fitting is. Frank was telling me it takes a tremendous amount of pressure to tighten up the tracks right here. And there's a grease fitting right inside here. So if you have one of these loaders or considering buying one of these and it needs a set of tracks, how much are the tracks, Frank? Each track is $4,000. Each track is $4,000. So $8,000 to do a complete track swap. So he swapped the track on the other side. We'll show you this track right now. See how it's all rounded off and it's really short? Let's go over to the other side. Now, you can see a huge difference. The new track has a huge cleat on it where the other track is just about completely worn out. So he had to replace this track because it actually broke. And now when he goes and he pushes, it tries to walk this side around that way. So he's replacing the other track. So what Frank is doing right now, you're pulling the grease fitting off? Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you unscrew that, it won't pop directly out. So he's going to take the Bobcat or skid steer, it's a Caterpillar skid steer, and push on the front of this track right here and cause that to compress, and we'll pop out the grease fitting and squeeze all the grease out so that we have plenty of room to work. All right, so what we're learning here is this fitting just unscrews to where the grease will come out. And when he pressed that, he compressed that cylinder that's in there and mashed all the grease out of it, and it's inside there, so we got to basically scoop it out. But it's probably like 2 handfuls of grease, not a whole lot of grease. And you can see it put a tremendous amount of pressure right there. It released a tremendous amount of pressure on the track. So there is a master link on here, and we'll take you around. We'll show you the master link. I think Frank has it sitting right here. Hang on. All right, guys, so this is the master link. The master link is a little bit smaller, just a tiny bit smaller. And if you look up here on the top, you see these two bolts? These two are just a little bit closer than those two, and that's how you know you're on your master link. He's going to pull that master link apart. Now, in order to get these bolts out, he's got to take a huge breaker bar and get on there. And guys, there's always some unforeseen thing that happens when you're working on a piece of equipment like this, or when you're working with a piece of equipment like this. So just now, he put the wrench and the breaker bar on there, and it slipped on the nut. So the nut is worn down from the tracks riding on the ground. So guys, this was a 15/16, and now it's being converted over to a 7/8. Frank, you got enough? You need some more weight? Trying to get Frank to smile, guys. Think he'll smile?
It ain't. Oh.
Okay, so Frank's putting the cover, the dust cover, back over top of the cylinder where you pump up the track to stretch it out, to tension the track properly. And what he's doing right here, we got to take those 4 bolts off. Once you get those 4 bolts off, the track should come apart. And we're going to take the new track and we're going to lay it out right here. He's going to back the machine right over top of it. Then take the skid loader and lift up the track because it's a heavy, heavy track. What'd you say, about 3,000 pounds?
They said it weighs 3,000 pounds.
3,000 pounds. Gotcha. So guys, the set of tracks that we're going to be putting on today are an aftermarket track. They're not a Caterpillar stock track. Frank was saying that the Caterpillar track will probably be much more expensive than this aftermarket track, which was $4,000 bucks. Is that right?
These were, yeah.
4,000. So you saw that plate comes off, and underneath there's a big chain. It's basically a chain, isn't it?
Yep.
That holds all these plates in place. Now when you're buying a new loader, or a used loader, excuse me, when you're buying a used loader, you need to look, he said you need to reach up in there and feel the gap inside that plate, and we'll show you inside the chain that's underneath the plate. You also need to look at the idler pulley right here, and you need to look at the teeth that are on the rear sprocket right here. All right, so you got to think about this. He's got to back up, get the track in the right position, and then drop it off. Interesting. Okay, so he's checking the idler right now, make sure the bearings sound good. He's shaking it side to side. He did have a bearing fail on the other side and had to replace that bearing. So we're checking that, and we're also, you know, when you go to purchase one of these and you pick up a used one, you want to be thinking about whether these are really, really sharp or whether they are squared off like this. If they're really, really sharp, sometimes they'll get even razor sharp, and that indicates that you're getting a whole lot of wear on your undercarriage. You might have to do an undercarriage rebuild, which costs in the neighborhood between $17,000 and $28,000. It's expensive to own and operate one of these machines. And again, this is a 953C. So there's a centrally located pulley here and a centrally located pulley down here. There is a flat surface that's supposed to be right here, but it's not flat. You can see it's disked out right here. What I was talking about a little bit earlier, and we'll compare the new track with the old track, what Frank was telling me is if you're buying a used one of these machines and you reach up underneath here, you feel of this, and you can feel the wear on this chain section right here, okay? So that's what you're feeling of. And you can see these are worn down. What will happen is they'll wear all the way through, and you'll start rubbing your pins, and that's when a lot of people decide it's time to get rid of their loader. Let's go over here and look at the new one real quick. Now you can see the huge difference. These are completely round on the new one, where they're almost oblong shaped on the old track. So that old track is worn out. So the next step in this process, and this is field work, man. This isn't shop work, this is field work. We've got a chain hooked to the new track. He's gonna get the skid loader over here, and we're gonna hook to the far right side of the bucket on the skid loader as far as we can get over. That way we can get as close as we can to the 953. Now, we want to butt this new track right up against that old track, and that new track is heavy, heavy, heavy. So we're going to do as much work as we possibly can with the skid loader, and that's why I'm here, in case things need to be moved left or right or whatever like that. So, and I'm also here to learn, just like you guys. Guys, pound the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We'd love to have you back here on the farm with us. What he's got to do here, this track is really rigid, so when you move one end, the other end tries to cock around that way. So just kind of got to finagle it a little bit It's a little bit snotty down here. The dirt is a little bit, well, it's not too snotty, but it's a little bit muddy down here. But we have a sandy loam type soil here, so it doesn't really get too awful muddy. That's why we decided to do it here. Just that easy, hopefully. Yeah, good. Guys, this is just stuff you don't see every day. Brought to you by Stoney Ridge Farmer, man. This is an awesome opportunity to see something really cool. A game of finesse. He had to pull up just a little bit right here, and he's going to take the skid steer and lift up on this new track to where it rides right in the teeth right here. So it has to catch at the exact right point and ride up on top of this. Then he'll pull forward, ride all the way up on top of it, get a series of straps, and pull this end up over top of the undercarriage right there, and then bolt it back together. I'm still waiting for that hiccup. I don't know if we're gonna have a hiccup or not. This might go pretty smooth. Normally this is an 8-hour job, but it's rolling on about 2 hours now. I'm holding this breaker bar so that this rides right up over top of this pulley. So he's got a ratchet strap on here now holding everything in place. The front is over the lip. The rear is over the lip, but it's still a little bit off the teeth down here. He's going to pull forward, hopefully pull it a little bit tighter, and then we'll bolt it together. Awesome. Okay, let's show you the point we're at right now. So the track is up on the sprocket right here, up on the teeth, and we have to get this part of the track right here into that sprocket right there. So he's going to push again with the skid loader, and I'm going to lift up right here and guide it into place. So the reverse procedure, what we did a little earlier, these jaws have clamped together. They come greased from the factory without any paint on them. Those 4 bolts go in right there, and the new plate is what Frank is getting over here. So he's getting the bolts, new plate, lay it on top, drop the bolts in, golden. Awesome, let's get her done. Before we put this new plate on the top of the track, and that's the new plate that goes over the master link, Frank is wiping the bolts off. There's grease down in there. He did a test fit to make sure each one of them would thread in, and now he's putting some red Loctite on for the final installation. That's doing it, keep going.
got two real.
How tight you want it? I don't want to break it.
You ain't gonna break it, but that's it right there.
Well, that's... Whew, it's a workout. The final step here, Frank has to pump out the hydraulic cylinder right here, the oil grease filled cylinder, until the tracks are tight. Now, is there a certain amount of sag that you want in the track?
About an inch.
About an inch of sag, okay. Frank's a soft-spoken fella. We're gonna get him here in a minute. Now, did you tighten that grease fitting back up?
Man, I'm glad you're standing here.
Teamwork, teamwork. So make note, and you can hear it popping and cracking, but make note of the sag right here that you see, and all that sag will be gone in just a few minutes.
All right.
Well, guys, that's how you do it. That's what you do.
All right.
It takes two. Frank, thanks for teaching us all.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Guys, we'll see you next time on the Stoney Ridge Farm. All right? Woo! Let's hear it.
Woo!
Well, come on down to the Stoney Ridge. Bring your wife and bring your kids. We're living life pure and sweet. That's the way it's
Right,
supposed to
got it.
be, Stoney Ridge.